The dirty history of soap. One of humanity's greatest inventions. Imagine living your entire life without soap. No hand soap, no shampoo, no body wash. Not even a bar of soap sitting next to your sink. It sounds almost impossible today, but for thousands of years, that's exactly how people lived. So how did humans invent one of the most important everyday products in history? Surprisingly, it all began with a simple accident. Nearly 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia, people noticed something unusual. When animal fat from cooking mixed with ashes from burned wood and rainwater, it created a slippery, wax-like substance. It wasn't pleasant to smell, and no one thought of using it for bathing. But they quickly realized that it was surprisingly effective at removing grease and dirt from cooking pots and other objects. Without realizing it, they had accidentally discovered one of the earliest forms of soap. At first, this strange mixture wasn't used to clean people at all. Instead, it was mainly used in textile production. Workers used it to wash wool before spinning it into cloth, making the fibers cleaner and easier to process. It was a practical tool, not a personal hygiene product. Centuries later, the ancient Egyptians improved the formula. Around 1500 BC, they began mixing animal fats and vegetable oils with alkaline salts, creating a substance much closer to the soap we know today. Ancient Egyptian medical texts describe this mixture being used not only for cleaning, but also for treating certain skin conditions and helping wounds heal. Even without understanding bacteria or germs, they knew that cleanliness often improved health. As civilizations continued to develop, attitudes toward hygiene evolved as well. The ancient Greeks enjoyed bathing, but they usually didn't use soap. Instead, they covered their bodies with olive oil and then scraped away the oil, sweat, and dirt, using a curved metal tool called a strigil. It may sound unusual today, but for the Greeks this was considered an effective way to stay clean. The Romans took bathing to an entirely different level. They built enormous public bathhouses, some large enough to hold thousands of people every day. These baths became places not only for washing, but also for exercising, socializing, doing business, and relaxing. While soap gradually became more common during the Roman Empire, many Romans still preferred olive oil and strigils as their primary method of cleaning. Then history took an unexpected turn. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, many public bathhouses disappeared across Europe. Political instability, economic decline, and changing cultural attitudes meant that regular bathing became much less common in many regions. Although the idea that medieval Europeans never bathed is an exaggeration, access to bathing facilities became far more limited than it had been during Roman times. Meanwhile, the craft of soap making continued to advance elsewhere. One city became especially famous for its high-quality soap, Aleppo in present-day Syria. Soap makers there combined olive oil with fragrant laurel oil to produce a hard, long-lasting soap that became highly valued across the Mediterranean. Traders carried Aleppo soap to distant markets, influencing soap makers throughout Europe. Inspired by these techniques, cities such as Marseille in France and Castile in Spain developed their own famous soap industries. Their products became symbols of quality and craftsmanship, but there was one major problem. Soap was still expensive. For centuries, it remained a luxury item that many ordinary families could rarely afford to use on a daily basis. Everything changed during the Industrial Revolution. New factories made it possible to produce soap on a massive scale. Improved manufacturing methods reduced costs dramatically, making soap affordable for millions of people for the very first time. What had once been a rare and valuable product slowly became an everyday necessity. Around the same period, scientists made another groundbreaking discovery. They learned that many deadly diseases were caused not by bad smells or mysterious forces, but by microscopic organisms called germs. Doctors such as Ignaz Semmelweis and later Louis Pasteur helped demonstrate that proper hand washing could prevent infections and save countless lives. Suddenly, soap was no longer just a cleaning product. It became one of humanity's most powerful tools for protecting public health. Today, we use soap every single day, without giving it much thought. We wash our hands before eating, after using the bathroom, after working, after exercising, and countless other times throughout our lives. It's one of the simplest habits we have, yet it has helped prevent millions of illnesses and saved an unimaginable number of lives. The next time you pick up a bar of soap or press a bottle of liquid soap, remember that you're using an invention, whose story began nearly 5,000 years ago with nothing more than animal fat. Wood ash, rainwater, and a fortunate accident. Sometimes the inventions that change the world forever begin with the simplest discoveries imaginable.